So I just finished off the last section discussing the 5 things that you need to be doing to properly execute in regards to bringing on your distribution partners, right? We spoke about reverse engineering, which is dissecting your market and figuring out who or, what different partners out there could be working with you, then evaluating who they are and what's the best choices to work with first. And then figuring out how to onboard them. And then as far as that process is concerned, is what do you do in that onboarding stage? How you kind of set the terms and manage expectations. And of course, management after that. And then nurturing. But if you look at this, this only really happens. You can only really get here if you have your business project or business offering structured correctly. And that really goes back to DSSD. And you should obviously remember this. Deal, structure, scalability, distribution. I'm saying it again just in case someone skipped ahead. Your deal, your structure, your scalability, your distribution. If you've got this formula in play and you've built your business around something that's good, structured well, and is scalable, then you will be able to, once you've reverse engineered and looked at potential partners and evaluated and cherry picked your options, then you're going to be able to onboard them. Provided, of course, there's enough for them to work with. So we're looking at scalability here. You're going to be onboarding them based on, whether or not they can sell something and make money. Of course, then that goes into structure. Is there enough money there for them? So what do these 3 steps mean? Well, these are your hard working steps. They're where you've got your business plan. And this is really what you're selling, right? You're selling your business concept. Even if you're raising money, you're selling the concept to these people, these companies, and you're hoping to onboard them. And then once you've done that, you're really managing and nurturing. And the reason I'm pointing this out here is because this happens not all the time, but there is, in many cases, and depending where you are in, I guess, your life cycle with your business, there can come a point where there's a self-regulating element to it. And what I mean by that is it pretty much starts to automate. All you end up really doing is just managing and nurturing. Fact is, your entire office infrastructure deals with administrative elements and financial elements. So you've got your bookkeeping, your internal bookkeeping. You're really focused on, if you're selling merchandise or products, you're focused on really making sure that supply line is in place. But as far as the selling's concerned, the marketing, direct consumer communication, post-sales, pre-sales conversations and work, all of that's taken care of by your distributors. So if you look at this, you've seen this diagram before. This is your DSS, your deal, your structure, and your scalability. And this side here would be your distribution. That was your plan to distribute, and this was your plan as far as your business idea, your project, your structure, how much you were willing to pay, how you were expecting to be able to support this market that you're looking to tap into. Is there enough stock? Can you create enough stock? Is there enough of whatever it is that you're trying to push out there? And that was your plan to distribute. But then what happens here? Well, of course, you've got these different companies who now have their own staff. They pay their own bills. They cover their own expenses. They're marketing for you and they're paying those marketing costs for you. They are already self-regulating, provided you have scalability in check. Can't emphasize it enough. Scalability in check. What that means is if you've got enough supply, meaning this enough supply, increasing this demand that's ever growing. You're hoping to get as many more distributors as possible. Remember I went back to, if we go back for a second to adoption. If you've got more and more distributors adopting or basically partnering with you and more buyers, what happens? Well, you're getting a snowball effect. Because the more and more people see other people buying or using your stuff, the more and more people want it, right? It becomes easier to sell. So the more and more distributors start wanting it too. So it becomes easier to sell too. So this is what happens. So it does become somewhat self-regulating, where all you really end up doing is managing and nurturing. And you can see this, and I've gone right back to the beginning here with my IPO example. You've got Microsoft. It's the perfect deal. It's the perfect structure. It's the perfect scale. It's massive. It's global. And they know how to sell their product, right? So there's a big check mark here. And so what happens is you've got Morgan Stanley, the originating agent. They are completely standalone. They don't need Microsoft to pay them. They're not asking anyone to help them with their marketing budgets. they can literally execute against as much stock is available to sell. So as long as there's Microsoft stock to sell and the various other stocks that they're selling, they can keep on trudging forward, and they can keep building their relationships with other distributors out there and selling groups out there in the broker dealers. And each of these entities are all self-sufficient. So because every entity can stand up on its own 2 feet, they're all self-regulating, they're all self-sufficient, you've already set the product at the front end. You see, it's all about that deal, that structure, that scalability, and that distribution. If you've set this up, this in and of itself is a package. Once this is taken to the market and you can keep that supply up, they will keep selling it. And like I say, all you're doing is managing and nurturing. It's not always going to happen like that, especially not with service-based businesses. Very difficult to have that take place. Because as far as finding the stock or finding the thing that you're going to sell is really time from other people, right? So it's not as easy to have that constant supply. But when it comes to merchandising, manufacturing, anything along hybrid businesses, investments, anything like that, yeah, it can become quite self-regulating over time. But like I say, I'm not telling you that this is your goal, that you should be focused on having it become self-regulating. There's no problem in getting involved at every stage, but it's something to look forward to. So I'll see you in the next section.